So take one of messing around to see what sort of effects we can get with cameras and stuff. Just trying to get a bit of a peek in your sound recording for editing purposes.
You don't need that, all you need is...
Yeah, but this looks better because if you can do that with it.
And you can do... Nom 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 nom.
The nomming board.
That's maybe that's what you should call it, a nomming board.
The nomming board.
Nomming board. Nom 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 nom.
So what have we got on the table today? Should we do eras?
A nut. Eras.
Eras.
Ears.
Shall we do some eras?
Ears.
So
big eras.
This is
same era as this.
So that's a 700.
This is a 300. Same camera, effectively. Just well, no.
Should we do that? Should we look at the backs and play spot the difference? If you said it was the same, that is different.
I said slightly different.
That's different.
Yeah, alright.
What else is different?
The viewfinder thing.
Yeah, it's different.
iCap's different.
So let's go on the other side.
This one's got a lens on it.
Oh yeah, there's a bit of difference.
Those two roughly the same.
I can't see the other side. Looks like the focusing light's slightly different. And you've got some more knobs. No, just slightly different.
No, they're different. Covers. So, these are just covers for the PC sync socket and accessory.
So that's a different generation. It's a shame they don't date these things.
Yeah.
No dates.
No dates.
So they're the same generation, which is effectively almost the same camera. But I think the 700, from my perspective, maybe we didn't look at the tops, did we?
Get this out of the way. So if I take the battery out of this one, put it in this one. The screen on the 300's bigger.
Oh really? Oh, that's surprising. I would have thought that the screen on the...
Ah!
Does that not fit?
No, it doesn't fit.
Bizarre.
I have your flattery on charge. So the D100 battery does not fit in the D300, whereas the D300 battery does fit in the D100. Because we tried it.
Interesting. Let me check out the shoe. Looks the same.
I think they're both...
Tops look the same.
I think they're both 12 megapixel cameras.
So if this is a smaller sensor, that means that it's...
This is the 700.
Yeah, we swapped. You didn't notice the difference. That's how similar they are. I got the 700. So this has got a bigger sensor, but the same megapixels. So that would imply that this has got a higher density of pixels.
Yes. Yes.
It'd be interesting to know if that actually made a difference. If
it does with noise.
So that's noisier.
Yes.
FX. That's what it's all about, isn't it? If you see a Nikon with FX on it, you know it's a full frame sensor.
Yes. And DX, they don't tend to advertise the DX.
So we should have done that as the first spot the difference of the FX. Because that is fundamentally...
What about the top plate?
I think we did the top plate is actually the most similar.
There's
a little bit of modelling difference here, because if we pop the flashes, we'll see that this has got a bigger hole than yours.
Slightly.
Oh no, this is yours. Okay,
that's mine, yeah. This is yours. Now.
I would imagine...
All the information differences on here.
That the soft one's not got a lens.
Put a lens on it then.
I wonder if there's some date in there. Let me have a look on this one.
I don't think there is. You got oh, there might be in the firmware information. Let's have a look. See. Get that out of the way.
Copyright information, firmware version.
But firmware version doesn't have the date.
What's your one?
What, firmware version?
Yeah.
1.02.
Mine's 1.10. Which is interesting because of this. Unless it's just the version
I think
of the
they're just
camera.
different cameras.
But you said they were the same.
They have lots of similarities.
That's amazing, isn't it? That it doesn't have some sort of... Where do you get to the image count?
You don't. To get to the image count, you have to take a picture, then upload that picture to shuttercount.com or something similar.
So it's in the EXIF information is what you're telling me.
Somewhere buried.
Have you not got EXIF, an EXIF reader? It's EXIF, isn't it? XIF. Extended
Image
funkiness. I don't know.
File. I don't know. No idea. Yeah, essentially very similar. This one's got the shutter, the curtain for the eyepiece.
So I'm going to do the geeky bit.
Oh, yeah. Let's have a look.
I'm going to get the date.
While you're doing the geeky bit, I'm going to have a look and see what the difference is. Whether there are any difference.
D300 release date.
That's HMI. They're in different order, but similar.
So D300 release date.
Oh, that's got a... The D300's got a full-size HDMI, whereas the 700's got a mini HDMI. Not
Maybe
HDMI
because
makes a lot
it
of
wasn't
difference.
around in the time.
Both got video out, both got standard USB, both got DC in.
Well, it's saying the D300 was officially discontinued by Nikon on September the 11th, 2009.
D300 or D200?
D300 being succeeded by Nikon D300S. So that means that that camera's at least 7 years old.
What about the D700? When was that?
I'm gonna do that one. I want a better release date because that's saying it ended in 2009. Wikipedia to the rescue. And we have 2007. So the D300 is actually a 10-year-old bit of kit.
9.
No, because it was 2000. Oh, sorry.
9.
Simple maths. 2016. Take 2007 is 9. So what are we going for the D700 on a release date?
Release date, I reckon it was released in 2000. I reckon same release. Discontinued later. Oh, 2008.
No, introduced by Nikon July 2008. So the 700 is a year, just under a year newer.
Yeah.
So they're actually quite old cameras then.
Oh yeah.
So what is the latest offering from Nikon if I wanted a semi-professional camera? It's the 800.
810. D810.
And what was the release date of the 810?
2014, I think. Late 2014.
We do have an 810, but it's currently filming us.
Along with a Sony Handycam, D3300 and a GoPro.
I can't believe you didn't have the model number of the GoPro. I'm very disappointed.
Hero 4 Black.
You're right. So the D810 was July 2014. So that's actually 7 years after this came out.
What about the D800? I think that was 2011? 2012 probably, I'd have thought. Actually no, 2011 probably. Guessing.
I would say 2012.
Is that confirmed? February 2012. Announced.
So
that's announced. That's not
released.
Released.
So we had the 300 in 2007, followed in 2008 by the 700, and then 4 years later we had the 800. There must have been a 7 interim, no? Was there not a 710?
No.
So we just went from.
There is now a 600 and a 750.
But they came.
But they're later.
Right.
Sort of lower spec, more prosumer, I think they call them. Like, yeah. Very good sort of high level consumer cameras, I think, with 750 and the 600.
So this was 2007, so if we go to 5 years before that, we had the release of the D100.
5 years. What about the D200?
No, the D100 was 2002. I don't think we've got a 200 anymore,
So,
have we?
No, we haven't.
So that is 5 years development, and the D810.
So how old is this now? 2002. So that's 14 years
one
old.
is 2003, I think, but it was actually released in 2002. So when did the D200 come along?
Which we've both had.
We've both had. I don't think either of us own one now, though, do we?
No. I love my little D200. I thought that was a lovely little camera.
D200 was... Annoyingly, Wikipedia, you have no consistency on your articles when it comes round to camera equipment. November 2005. So we went from 3 years. So we went D100 in 2002. 3 years later, we had the D200.
But the step between the D100 and the D200 was
humongous.
Humongous.
In 3 years. And then 2 years later... No. Yeah, 2 years later we had the D300. A year after that, the D700 came out.
Which was 2009, did you say? No, 2008.
2008.
D700. 2012, which is 4 years later, the D800.
Yeah.
2 years after that, the D810.
So, in this room, we've got 2002 up to 2014. So that's 12 years of progress. But we reckon that the biggest leap is between the 100 and the 200, which we haven't got.
Yeah. The 200 to the 300 was quite a big leap, but not as huge.
It was less noticeable. I don't think that many people got... I think a lot of people went from the 100 to the 200 and it was an amazing...
Yeah,
well, just to give...
that's 6 megapixels.
I think the screen tells
screen size and even the menu system. Can we switch this on?
Yeah.
The little menu system is just...
But if we take that with the 300...
I think that... Yeah. Because the difference between...
The 200 and the 300.
The 100 and the 200
was the screen.
Was just completely different.
I remember people getting very excited about the 200 screen because a lot of people said that photographs looked very good on this screen, but then when you got it onto a PC, the colours and everything looked really wrong, so it wasn't a true representation, whereas I think the newer screens had a lot better...
Oh, the newer screens were a lot better than the older ones, obviously. They would be, wouldn't they? That's progress for you. I think it was still a fairly big leap from the 200 to the 300. It's only a 0.2 megapixel difference, because that was 6.1 or something.
Yeah.
The 200 was 10.2, I think.
Sounds about right.
This is 12, so it's not a huge difference, but the quality and image between the 200 and the 300.
Well, one thing we've not talked about
Bit
at all
depth.
on any of this is the processing, isn't it?
Processing and bit depth.
Because I noticed on this, when you turn the camera on and you ask to go, well, just for it to turn on,
Have you switched it off?
I did. Okay, so I'll turn it on, you get the green light, and then you hit the button, and then you want to go into an image.
It takes a while.
That's quite a delay, isn't it?
That is a huge delay.
And you can sort of see a bit of redrawing on the menus as well, whereas I imagine on anything newer than even the D200 was quite fast load time. It's a shame we've not got a 200 actually.
Yes, this, I actually like that. You've got a little thing there to open. Whereas the 700 is just you've got to pull it.
Oh, that's quite nasty, isn't it? So you're saying the 300's got a nicer...
I prefer it, but then it's more mechanics.
To go wrong.
Not necessarily to go wrong, but it's just more mechanics.
It's 2003 as well.
What, the card?
Yep.
I keep trying to... This card is...
Should be a little number next to it.
It's showing 2004, but I don't think it is. It's obviously not, it's just a copyright label.
Maybe that's
right, so if
branding. Very exciting picture of a GoPro.
Anyway.
So I think we were going in, weren't we? Doing a speed comparison test.
Yeah, so if I go menu. Oh, just play.
It's instant, isn't it? There's
Between the two files, instant.
no delay whatsoever.
But if I now put that memory card...
I'm wondering if they're doing something with caching. We've run out of lenses. Oh no. Will that even open that file?
I very much doubt it, but... will this camera open the files from that one? They're much smaller files. Let's see, out of interest.
This folder contains no photos. I think
this folder contains no images.
That's because of on the memory card, it creates a folder. So if you ever wonder when you go onto your memory card, why do you have a folder that the pictures are in? It must be to stop scenarios like this, of the camera having to cope with images that aren't from its source. That's still instant, isn't it?
That's still instant.
But then I wouldn't be surprised if this camera is trying to do some sort of clever caching, where it's loading a number of the images in memory, so that when you're...
But this camera would obviously have a lot more memory than that one. I mean, this is, what did we say the 300 was, 2008?
2008.
That's 2002, so that's 6 years difference at a time where memory was changing very quickly, I think. Am I right?
Yeah, no, I think...
around that time, computer memory was...
Well, 2002, we must have just been sort of moving into the realms of maybe having about 1 gig of memory in a machine.
In a computer, you mean?
In a computer, not a camera.
Desktop computer.
Do they publish facts like that on these cameras? The size of the memory buffers and things like that, or
I don't know.
They release information about the processors, don't they?
They do, yeah. Well, to a point.
Because there's a lot. The image processors on these do a lot, but I kind of guess if you're shooting in RAW, they don't do very much at all. It's only going to be if you're shooting in JPEG, or do you think the processors are still doing a fair amount?
I think the processor is still doing a fair amount because they've still got to read the information from the sensor.
Oh, and then store it off to the card. So the fastest. So really,
so it's a chain of events.
Yeah.
You've got to have.
Even if it's not doing very much, it's still got to shift a huge amount of data around.
And it's a huge amount of data. I mean, the new D5, for instance, I think it's 10 frames per second or something, and it can take, 250 frames in a burst.
Okay. So you need a decent size, fast
they use
card.
XQD cards or something like that, I can't remember. dual slot.
Because this was an Ultra 2. I don't know where they are now.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, an Ultra 2 meant it was a quick memory card.
I think the Extremes are the
fast ones, are they?
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
This might be pretty extreme though.
Maybe. No, I don't think so, because they still do Ultra.
Do they?
Maybe that card is newer than the camera.
It probably is.
Because you had it after me and used different cards and what have you. Anyway.
Indeed.
Yeah, so the raw files from the D5 would be probably, at a guess, between 50 and 60 megs each.
Which,
So 10 of those per second. And the buffer is actually a camera set buffer. 250 frame buffer rather than it will run out in 250 frames.
So it's running. So you can
hold the shutter down.
Queue.
250 shots, 10 frames per second. Lift your finger off, and then immediately start shooting again. The buffer may then run out at some point. I don't know
how long it
would last, but
they're guaranteeing that you'll make it at least that.
Yeah, I think it slows down towards the end, but it is still firing. But that is just an incredible amount of data to be stored to a card in.
I suppose the other thing with the modern cameras is that they're also doing video as well. So if you're doing HD video at 60 frames per second, that's also a reasonable amount of data as well.
Yeah, the D5 also is 4K.
Yes, which is obviously.
But it only records 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes of 4K video.
Yeah, I think I was reading somewhere, and they were saying that if you took 4K resolution, I could be completely wrong, just making these numbers up. But you could take, if you took 4K resolution and you stream the raw data, it would be something like. I want to say they were saying. No, I'm not going to quote it because I'll get it wrong. I'll have to look those figures up.
Yeah, but that 2 or 3 minute whatever it is a manufacturer's set.
Yeah.
2 minutes. It's not what it can obviously take a lot more than that, but.
But a lot of it's dependent on how quickly it can write to the card as well. Because if it can write to the card, you'd obviously get longer.
No, not necessarily. There are tax laws between stills and video cameras. They're taxed differently, which is why you have either a 20 or 30 minute maximum on the DSLR.
We're getting geeky. So they're still taxing it as a camera because of it's not capable of doing video for longer than. Is that why they also call it live view as well, rather than because when I first started playing around with the D810, I was looking for the video button to set the video mode, and there isn't one, is there? There's no on the knob at the top or a setting somewhere to say video. It's live view, and then you have a record button.
You have to have live view so that the mirror is out of the way.
No, but what I mean is it a marketing thing that on the dial you haven't? So like if you take
no, because live view started before.
Okay, all I'm thinking is that for example, on a cheap compact camera you get a little video symbol, and you could click it to a video symbol and that could lift the mirror up and then you could start recording. Yeah, there's it's not intuitive. If I picked up the 810 and I attempted to do a video, I wouldn't know how to do it because it's not intuitive. You had to tell me you need to press the live view button and then the record button.
Maybe.
I didn't know if that was a strategic thing.
It could well be.
To make it so that it hasn't got a video mode.
Yeah.
You're just capturing a live view.
I think part of it might be that you put it into live view so then you're ready. Otherwise there's a delay in the mirror going up, video starting.
So you change the
if you've already put into live view,
that delay can't be very
long.
You're
effectively in video mode.
Because when I take a picture, it's like a thousandth of a second.
But video tends to be all completely done in live view.
Yeah.
So every time you start to stop the video, do you really want the mirror going down? Plus, in video, you want to obviously keep framing your video live.
Yes.
and focusing as per where the thing is. So if the mirror keeps going up and down, you're not able to do that. So you're going to be wanting to focus in the live view mode
Before you
and
then
then
start shooting.
immediately start shooting.
So what you're trying to say politely is I'm just a bit dumb that I couldn't figure out how to do a video.
Not really. If you don't know, if you're not told, you're not going to know. It's not.
I suppose
obvious,
that is a point, isn't it, with cameras in general. When you get to kind of SLR levels, you do see a lot of people wandering around shooting in auto, or on the cheaper models you get the different modes, so you can have portrait and landscape,
Sports and
sports and all
macro
the rest of it. Whereas when you get to this kind of level of camera, there's a lot of buttons on here that, you know, WB, ISO, quality is
WB
probably
was one of
self.
WB.
That's white balance.
Yeah.
You've got these little symbols here. To somebody that knows nothing about photography, you wouldn't know that is metering modes.
Spot center weighted and
And then again
matrix.
down here, that, you know. So I guess as a rule,
Do you know what these ones are for?
this is your focusing points.
Yeah.
So you have a
Focus
single
areas.
point or focus area or just a whatever. And then you've obviously got all the stuff to operate the menus. So they're not straightforward things to use. If you want to take pictures with a certain amount of control, you need to learn what all those different things do and mean. And I think I know a little bit, but not as much as Ollie.
You know, a fair bit, I think.
See this, if I didn't know anything about photography, you've got C, S and M. Luckily I know that means continuous, single and manual.
Yeah.
For your focusing modes.
Yeah.
So that's quite a good point for highlighting that the reason you got to go into live view before you hit the record button, if you wanted to do anything with this, you need to kind of know what you're doing.
Well, yeah.
Unless you just put it in auto and hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean, even full auto, these things will give you great results generally, depending on what you're doing.
It's like everything in life though, isn't it? Where you can be very good at something, but then by understanding how to use these things properly, it can make you exceptional at it.
Yeah,
Probably
understanding how
once you
but also you've got to have the eye for it as well. It's no use, you know, you can know these things inside out technically, but be a hopeless photographer. Whereas if you've got the eye and the imagination to be able to create images and see images, then
there was a guy that
that's
did
most of it.
Yeah, there was a guy that did a YouTube video, wasn't there, where he did a photo shoot with an iPhone. And this was the old iPhone 3G, I think, so it wasn't a particularly capable camera, but he still took some very incredible shots. He did have some really good studio lighting and everything, but it just sort of shows that, you know, even an average camera in the right hands can take amazing shots.
Yeah, well, Digital Rev do a similar thing on their channel. They do what they call a pro photographer cheap camera challenge, where they get a top professional photographer in, give them like a Barbie cam or Lego camera or something ridiculous, and they've got to go around and create specific images with it. And it proves that it's the photographer that takes the image, not the camera. And that, you know, with whatever camera, you know, 2002 D100, you can get some stunning images from that still. If you know what you're doing.
I think on my website somewhere kicking around, I've got images that I took with this camera. So I've had a D100, a D200 and a D300. And out of all of those three cameras, the D100 is probably the one that I've shot on the most. And most of my images that I look at that I like that I've taken have been on this.
What were you saying about this one earlier?
We'll brush over that.
Okay, we'll brush over that. Fine.
Yeah, I've taken approximately 0 pictures with this since I've had this camera.
In how long?
A year. I'll be honest with you, I take all my images on an iPhone now, and it needs to be a special occasion that I get the camera out, but I just spend pretty much the whole time working that I never have an opportunity to take it out. But I will do soon, because we're hopefully going to make some videos shooting these guys. So I finally get to use the 300.
After you've had it for over a year.
Yeah, depreciation's not been good on it probably.
Well, you had that one from me when I bought my D810.
But how many, do you know what the...
End of March.
End of March last year.
Yeah.
So do you know how many pictures you've taken on this?
No idea.
See, I think it's a little bit like a car with mileage. Ollie put all the mileage on it and I'm just resting it for a few years to get the mileage back down. Anyway, did you do a timer?
No, I didn't. We're still well within time.
Are we?
We didn't do the...
Oh, the clapperboard thing.
Oh well, we'll have a spike now.
Do we do it later? We can edit it in. Back at the beginning.
Nom 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 nom.
Nom 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 nom.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to judge the time sometimes. Is it worth us having a look at some of this footage back?
I think we should do.
Let's do that then.
The real reason for this video is basically to test the D800 against the D3300 against the Sony Handycam to see what the difference in the footage is.
Yes. So
We may or may not publish this, I don't know.
yeah, all of my mumbling that I just did a minute ago was me talking to Ollie, where I probably should have been talking to you, so we can cut that bit out. And then we could just go into the bit now, which now we need to redo, because I've just ruined it by talking about what I talked about before.
Doesn't matter.
Oh well, might make a good outtake.
Anyway, on that note,
Yes. If we did publish this, we hope you enjoyed it.
we got something from it at least. But yeah, most of them probably tuned out after a minute.
Well, if they made it this far, then we've got some watchers for life, hopefully, because of, it's not going to get much more boring than that, is it?
No, I wouldn't have
We
thought
could have
so.
just offended all the viewers there, because they might have actually quite enjoyed that. But they could always let us know in the comment section below, and subscribe if they like. I don't know.
That side. Yeah, the red one. Yeah. Right, okay, that's it.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Good night. Yep, thanks for watching.